So there's different versions of this entitlement whereby Europeans felt that they were entitled to everything in the Western Hemisphere, and they still feel that way today. The American version being Manifest Destiny, that's been written about by historians many, many times. The great Canadian version, not a version of that, a Canadian aspect is apartheid, which happened in South Africa. Now, the South Africans get vilified for that, of course, and put down for that. But I wonder if you can guess where they came when they were first interested in starting up that system to do their research. And Canadians would be interested in that. They came to Canada because the Indian Act in Canada doesn't even treat the Indigenous as people, really. And it's a good example of that sort of attitude that there is. So when they wanted to have apartheid, basically they wanted to see where they could find a place that would have a model of what it is that they wanted to bring in, and they came to Canada to see that. And that's something that North Americans don't really want to face up with. The next generation will be willing to do that, but it's going to be a hard time for them when a lot of the information comes out. So now the racism model as we see it today, I want to get into this a little bit. This gets a little bit out there, I guess you could say, a little, not really complex, but just a little bit more complicated. But the racism model, which I believe grew out of class anyway, it gets tied in with the economic model. So the general thinking is that there was racist behaviors of hate and ignorance. And this led to the racist ideas. And the racist ideas then led to racist behaviors, which then affected anyone who's having racism inflicted upon them. It affects them economically and affects their culture. Now that really is backwards in history, and that's not realized in a lot of cases, that it works the other way. It's the economic policies that drive everything. It's the money that's driving all of this. So it's racist economic policies, often not originally put in place because of racism. But racist economic policies in turn lead to racist ideas, and that's a justification a lot of times for the economic policies. The racist ideas then eventually lead to racist attitudes of hate and ignorance, not the other way around, as the slavery example could show that with slavery, it wasn't a situation where there was racism against the blacks, and so that led to these racist ideas of slavery, and then that led to the economic situation and the economic model where they could be a second type of citizen. No, it went the other way around. It was the economic model. It was driven by the fact that they were easy to catch because they looked different, and they were partly immune to some of the diseases. They were handy. There was already a slavery model that had been set up in the 13 and 1400s by Muslims and Christians originally. And so it wasn't the racism leading to racist ideas that led to this racist economic policies in the case of slavery. It was just economic policies were there, and they were racist. This in turn led to racist ideas. And then as the generations go by, the racist ideas lead to the racism of hate and ignorance. And that applies exactly like that to the Indigenous. So I know that's a little bit convoluted, but it's important that that is understood. It very rarely seems to be.